Hello and welcome to Sim Strategy Gaming. I'm Sim. This episode will be about the fourth chapter of the campaign of Empire Railway 2. Looking at our mission objectives, we see that connecting 5 rural businesses is an easy task. And then further on, grow the East Texas region will come on very nicely as we build this circular path here, including San Antonio, Austin, Houston, and Corpus Christi, that I will refer to as the East Texas zone, even though it includes parts of South Texas, and then rather refer to this little line between Brownsville and Corpus Christi as the South Texas line. Starting on as usual by placing our trains in the actual connection bonuses here on the South Texas line. One starting in Brownsville, immediately heading for Corpus Christi to bring in that connection bonus as fast as possible. And then these two lines here, one then starting in Austin and one starting also in Austin, one in each direction. It's only one train as of now, but as soon as the connection bonuses come rolling in, we will be able to afford more trains. Also one in Vermont that connects Vermont to the actual circular zone here. None of this too long to avoid any problems and to optimize our revenues. Here there can only be one train that picks up both of these connection bonuses. It might be clever here to start it up, and as it starts up, and one can see that it fills up now only with corn. But if I pause a bit now and now say that it cannot load any more corn, it will load the rest with livestock, and then we will have both connection bonuses coming in straight away. Here up in Stephen, this train, using the consolidation train, we have access to better freight trains, but it's not needed right now, as all of these resources are level 1. Even here, with these two resources, one consolidation train will be probably more than enough to feed entire. So we make sure that it has a minimum of 8 wagons that is always full and doesn't go back and forth with the half full or even empty cargo loads. There is the option of the Baldwin 10-wheeler, and also on this level we have access to this Mastodon, which is a really nice freight train, but costs more and have higher maintenance requirements, and also I think somewhat higher consumption. So we can wait on with this for some time, but it will come on handy later on. One can see this, that when we have competitors or private routes being some sort of a competitor, have the option of buying this right away, but we should perhaps not do that and rather build on each side, place a station on each side, and then our goods can travel freely back and forth with warehouses that we haven't yet set up. But now as the connection bonuses have come in, we can do just that. And the passengers, they will take a cab or a taxi by themselves, so that is not a problem. See what we need down here in Brownsville. Brownsville only has its own meat resource, and it has beer coming from Corpus Christi, but it needs corn, and actually we can export the meat. And sugar it needs. There is no cloth in our railway system yet. That comes on later, but we can put it in anyways. And we can have milk and vegetables. Perhaps not milk, actually we can have the fruit instead. Fruit being very close, but as we see on our flow of goods, there aren't any demand yet for milk. vegetables or fruit that will come into play later. Always tempting to buy up these industries in advance. Say with corn, for example, there is a lot of demand for corn, and I don't think even now all of these six cities demand 0.4 wagons a week, and we only have 1.6 there. So it might be tempting to buy this up, but I wouldn't recommend it, even with as we play with the madam, who have these abilities to upgrade rural businesses cheaper, and also to buy new buildings within a city cheaper. But still, it is more profitable to lay new rails, at least in the beginning. So we will wait with that, and we'll also wait on buying these private businesses. One thing to point out is this very awkward station here in Austin that is impossible to delete and is placed in this peculiar lateral manner, and then one can rather build another station here, and then the game consider these two stations connected so that one can have other stations. Later on we might utilize this station, but it's very often easier actually to build on each side. And there is this little trick to be building stations and then further on expanding our the zone that we are allowed to build new stations, and then kind of move our stations along here and build more stations in a better position. And to have these stations in good positions, that is one of the keys to really making an efficient railway network. We have gone to use, for the most part, this Brox module, which is a very excellent mixed train, can do most anything, and can easily achieve express bonuses even with a mixed load. And later on we might have the Glen, but we will look further on into that. This will mostly be about the Brox module, and then perhaps some of these better freight trains. And now, about half a year into the game, we have been able to grow the East Texas region far enough so that we have arisen from the ashes. And our next set of mission objectives will be to build up Houston and also Austin, and to focus on these two cities. And the way we're going to do that, Austin and Houston being here on the edge of this East Texas zone, we're going to build a new zone with Shreveport and Dallas, and refer to that as the North Texas zone, even though it includes parts of Louisiana. And then to have these two in the middle, you can see that they're already growing very nicely from this zone, particularly Austin here with the direct delivery of corn and also lumber straight into it. Will come on very nicely, but also Houston is going to benefit from having both wheat and sugar coming straight into it. Now have a quick look at how our rails are, our trains are doing. We can see that many of them already have been achieving express statuses, this straight line, more or less of course, but also both directions on this circular path, so that there isn't any particular need to have express trains in order to achieve express bonuses. It have more to do with how one set up these rails, and that these curves are smooth, always placing these stations outward, facing out from the circle, and making all the curves and the inclines smooth, so that the trains are going fast. One can see that it has many of the trains have high high speed. Very important to be remembering to build these immigration offices, and then to have this on here. We are going to build a new station here later on, buy up this so that we can sort of move already. I think perhaps there would be a nice place here, say, so that we can expand the city further on eastward, so we can build an eastward station later on. Might have to do some updates here. Now that we have been able to afford station extensions, lots of maintenance depots, important, but to have a lot of those so that we can put the maximum amount on trains on these tracks that we have laid, and that they don't clog up on a few of these maintenance depots, but that the maintenance is spread all over. Maintenance takes quite a bit of time, much more time to do maintenance on a train than to simply process the wagons. But now that we have put up warehouses, we can see how the flow is going. This wheat resource supplying the East Texas zone, while this one is supplying here, not moving in, because if I move both of them in, there might be a problem where this wheat resource here to the east is supplying Brownsville, and this resource here down south would be supplying, say, Austin, and then it would be a crash here in the warehouse. So no warehouse for wheat there, but for corn there is lumber coming in here. These are the two different ways of utilizing a warehouse. One, just to bring a resource with a single line, often preferably single line, single freight train, into a zone, an economic system, and then here the other use to be transporting from one zone to another. This is where one needs to be careful. Usually this is entirely unproblematic, usually, but as long as one has enough train capacity to actually pick up the goods. But here there might be conflict if there is the same resource on both sides. Meat being transported in here, there is a conflict here, but since Brownsville will always be filled up by its own factory, that's not a problem. And then to have all of these three butcheries delivering to Beaumont, that one see now is having more than enough meat. Beer, not a problem, very evenly and nice distributed all over. Sugar coming in from south of Beaumont and further on all the way into Brownsville. Unfortunately, no cloth yet. Cloth is all the way, a lot of cloth here in the west, but no cloth down in Texas. These are often the more problematic things, and also with milk is far away, and to have that transported in an efficient and non-conflicting manner all over the map, that can be a little bit of a challenge. No demand for vegetables yet, but still that it was so nicely placed on the path, so I put it in there anyways, even though it's gonna take some time for it to be utilized. Might have been actually easier to just build one track and cheaper to build one track, but then I will have to delete it and build it anew as I needed that resource, and that was a bit of a hassle. Haven't bothered with the fruit yet, because there is a private line here that I don't want to spend money on buying, but later on I will include that one, delete this track and then build a station here, and then kind of swoop in to get the fruit as well. So now, after almost a year of gameplay, we have been able to achieve the mission objectives to grow Houston and Austin, and are ready for the next set. which it's to produce 14 loads of plank in our factories and businesses. Buy up 3 private routes, already bought up 2, that was getting more and more in the way. And then also achieve this express status on a rail between Dallas and Brownsville. And Dallas and Brownsville is far away from each other, and certainly this would be interflicting with our main building technique here. See that we have expanded our rail network now by building this North Texas zone, which really goes well to grow both Houston and particularly Austin. Have a quick look at that. Almost 90% fulfillment of demand, and here we have almost 80. So this is coming on very nicely. And then often these mission objectives, they contradict with my play style, with its relies on these zones, particularly the circular zones that keep good order with how to set up the warehouses and where things are going, and keeping them compact instead of having these long interflicting lines that are often a bit unprofitable and also sometimes a bit confusing. So I might actually just draw this long line here and connect it here, and then just bring one train back and forth. And as soon as that train has gone back and forth and achieved an express status, then I'm probably going to delete it. And so then there will be a question of where to put up the sawmill, and then we can see that Vermont have room for a sawmill, and then we can place one here. Can't really afford it right now, but wow, looking at the bonds, we always go for the maximum amount of bonds. There is interest to be paid, but when one goes into the bank to buy to get a loan, one is presuming that one is be able to get more from that money than the cost of the bond, if one just uses it cleverly. We have to buy up one of these, so I think now it would be time perhaps just getting on this one, and then we have bought all the 3 we need. Immediately just delete this. This is just messy leftover from the Civil War or something, so there's no need to have that. And then we're going to buy ourselves a nice little sawmill down here in Vermont. I usually place them as far into the edges that I'm allowed to do, so that I can expand the region where I'm allowed to place stations further on. We can see now that when I built this here, then I'm allowed to build a new station here further out. And to have lots of stations placed in a distance from each other within the same city is often a smart thing to do. It makes for more even curves and better laid rails. Started on building this Arkansas, Indiana territory line. Bought up Arkansas concessions for Arkansas here, and connected the Fayetteville so that we can finally have some cloth coming into our system, which has really been needed. And we see now that we put up all these warehouses to try to distribute this all over. There certainly isn't enough. There's a lot of demand, but as this, and I could perhaps have bought up this factory as well, but they cost a lot of money, and it's okay. I could buy this up; it doesn't cost that much, and then with our ladies, madame's ability, it can be bumped up cheaper. But still, there are so much else to do. And what I want to do now is to complete this Arkansas, Indiana circle, including Oklahoma, getting hold of this coal. We are going to produce steel and tools and such for our Mississippi Sunset Route project. Then in the end we're going to build this long rail from Vermont to New Orleans, and mission objectives will be a lot about building up a more advanced industry that will require coal to produce steel, and then further on produce tools and also planks in order to get across. Having a quick look at the flow of goods is always important. I'm spending a lot of time just figuring out how this flow is going to be. We have two now lumber resources here, one up there. Would have been tempting to have one in one warehouse for lumber here in Shreveport, but there's other things to be transported, and we have enough lumber in the North Texas zone. This is the North Texas zone. This is the East Texas zone. This is the South Texas line, and then this Arkansas line, soon to be completed the full circle, has its own lumber, so that it's okay. With wheat pretty evenly distributed all over. Here actually I put up a little wheat. Yes, I changed this now, so that now this wheat is supplying East Texas, while this wheat is supplying North Texas, and then Arkansas, Indiana will have its own wheat. Corn here, and here as well. Meat, lots of meat all down in Texas. All these nice hamburgers, beef, Texas steaks, but little meat up here. So then we will need to have some extra coming into a warehouse. Sugar, also neatly distributed through lots and lots of warehouses. Sugar here only on the North Texas zone, so that we can freely, without any interfliction and conflicts, transport it through all of the different warehouses. Milk is coming into play, only here up in Shreveport, and being distributed. There wasn't any more room in this warehouse, and I had to prioritize, and besides there aren't enough milk for everybody either, so then it wouldn't be any chance that it would be able to get all of the way. One can notice that I normally never check for this wool or livestock, because they go straight into the factory. Or not really here. One can put it on the line as well, because I didn't want to have an extra line going to St. Austin. So then sometimes it might be nice to have livestock, one of these, say, I call them factory resources in contrast to common resources. But now this livestock is supplying both Austin and San Antonio. But usually it will just be like here up in Fayetteville, where this wool goes just straight to Fayetteville, not to be distributed on the line, while the lumber from the same station is distributed on the line, so that it can reach all the way down to, no, here it is, but now it is, and now it can reach all the way down to Shreveport like that. It's very, very easy to forget some of these things, and one have to mirror them in order for them to be moving from one warehouse to another freely without any cost. They will move as long as they are mirrored, but that might not be always so easy to remember, so one has to do a lot of extra checking. And so now, only almost 15 months into the game, looking at our mission objectives, almost been able to produce all of the required planks, and then also building this enormously long and kind of unprofitable single line here with an express train. Now we use the express train. There's no need for it to be profitable, just express, and then only maximum of one train. this is built only in order to achieve the mission objective. And one can see now that there wasn't any particular need to build it all the way down to Brownsville, even though it's going to Brownsville, because there already was a path here. So I could connect it to this, and then of course it fills up the line a little bit, competing sort of with the Brownsville Corpus Christi line here. But then one can see that it goes on nicely back and forth, and then from this back and forth line here, moving further on up on this long line that has no signals, where only one train can travel, but only one train is supposed to be traveling there. The factory in Vermont is running really nicely. It requires a lot of lumber, but lumber is immediately placed next to it here at Evans. But even so, there might be a need for, yes, here, an extra line to make sure, because one can never be really sure about how full these trains will be, and they are certainly full, and they are serving a lot of demands, and there is a little direct control in the way that I'm doing these things now. We have pointed out that now the East Texas zone has this train station, and then the train station that we cannot delete, this one is permanently placed here, is now being utilized in this manner. It would be better to have it placed in the same manner, but it is there, it is where it is. And then there is this option to build sort of a 4-lane grid iron that will make it so that they can come down here. See how this train is moving, going into the station like this, switching all over, and as soon as it has processed its wagon, it will go back in this other direction. So this is a circular path, even though the train is placed not horizontally along the line, but rather in a lateral manner. See now at our new mission objectives, going to produce a lot of steel and deliver tools to Austin, and then buy up some of General Donovan's company and transport some passengers from Dallas to Memphis. Now, Memphis is sort of a long way, and it's now conflicting with the General Donovan. But I think that we can buy him up kind of easily. It is a very small company, and let's see how now. Yes, I think we will only just... Yes, we can just about make it. And then as we use almost 4 million on him, we can merge him, liquidate everything, and at least, yeah, more or less most of the money came back to us. And now we can build a nice long rail here all the way to Memphis. Might want to shorten that later on, because there is already a track here between Shreveport and Dallas, so we don't need to have it all the way, but certainly from Shreveport to Dallas, and then to connect to our competitors' rail network. That means that the passengers from pretty much all of our system will be able to reach not only Memphis, but also Nashville, Knoxville, and even all the way to Atlanta. So that will be very, very nice. You can see now with this the iron is going to not to Dallas. Here is on the meat industry, but it goes further on down to Austin by a warehouse. You can see, is Austin properly supplied? Yes, it is. And then since there is so little demand, and this one is only level 1, so that this will suffice. I could have built one rail that would go directly, but that would be longer, and also it is a little complicated with these stations that are already present in Austin to have that arranged in a proper manner. And now we are approaching 2 years into the game. Have been able to produce steel, bought up General Donovan's company, and transported these 60 passengers from Dallas to Memphis without changing trains. We'll always have to really check that. And so the last thing that we're going to do is to deliver these 12 loads of tools to Austin. And but first, let's see how we did this. I had this line now from Memphis Shreveport going all the way to Dallas, but as soon as those passengers had been traveled without changing trains, then I rather built this new big zone here that includes Shreveport, Dallas, Oklahoma, Fayetteville, calling that the Arkansas line, Indiana, Arkansas. And further on, we bought General Donovan's company, and then steel were produced here in Austin and brought down to Houston, made for a little extra special line here to make sure that the tools were being brought to Austin now demanding tools, and then steel being brought to Houston. In addition to that, in order to produce tools, one must be absolutely sure that they have enough lumber. So then I put up an extra little line here going back and forth between Evans so that there wasn't any fuss there. That's the worst one that can happen, the most disappointing thing when one have built up a nice tool factory, level 3 and such, and was really waiting to achieve the mission objectives, and then it turns out that they have enough steel, but they run out of lumber, and then the mission points are just disappearing. And we can see here now that they actually have run out of lumber, even though I have this extra freight delivery line. Might be that we are running out of, yes, unfortunately we are running out of lumber here. But still. So for our next set of mission objectives, now that the equipment order has arrived, we can see that now we are going for the second last difficult task, really difficult to achieve. First of all, an express status between Memphis and New Orleans, reach 40,000 citizens in New Orleans, and then deliver all these loads of steel and planks to Vermont and to New Orleans. Vermont isn't something much of a problem, but New Orleans is all the way over here, and we need to make some way of conquering all of this area. And later on also, spoiler alert, we will have to buy up our competitors. So we'll have to start competing with a much greater competitor, the Helen Gerard, that has all of this here, and her stocks will be costing a lot more than General Donovan's. So we have to really focus on making money. And the best way to do that, I think, is to build up this circular path. Notice now that we have, in order to make a maximum amount of money, since our cities are growing, we have built 4 of these lines. When all of our systems now are 4-lane system, it costs, the 2 first tracks cost a lot more. Parallel tracks are a bit cheaper, and now we're going through the same stations, so we don't need extra station upgrades here. When we have bought the warehouse is for all of the tracks. Not only, we don't have to build extra warehouses or extra maintenance depots as we expand this. We could actually have 8 of these with just 1 maintenance depot, so that it is a good thing to be expanding, but not before there's actually a need for it. as soon as these rails now put up, say 12 here, and see that now, okay, 4%. And we might put up an extra train that would increase the waiting time up to 5 or even 6, but wait until the maximum, I would say the maximum amount of trains are when the waiting time is around 5%. And then if they reach 5% and you still want more trains, then you have to lay more tracks. Looking at the Austin station, you can see that now we have split it into 3. So there is one station for the East Texas zone, one station for the North Texas zone, and then one central in the middle used for special deliveries. And I will bring this on, the special delivery, with the steel being produced all the way up in Austin. That can be going into the tools factory here, and then further on to Vermont, and then even further on to New Orleans to be delivering the required steel. Having a quick look at the flow of goods, not so much have changed down here in the south, in Texas. Corn and such. Just gonna do this sort of quickly. One can often just hold it over one particular city, one city sort of in between, and see that everything is moving in the right direction. It takes too much time to comment on all of this. You see now that Brownsville is in demand of vegetables and also of fruit, but then I have to prioritize here. One can switch this back and forth as fulfillment as demand is being fulfilled, but it is a lot of stress, and it's very easy to forget things and such. So try to make this. I at least try to make this a little bit more easy. Often the worst competitor, the worst enemy in railway empire is the confusion that you make yourself. You make this grandeur plans, and then they end up by being so confusing that it's hardly possible to see them through. Here now finally this seems a bit confusing, but actually it's not. And finally we can bring in a lot of nice cloth onto the southern parts of our railway empire. Have some more fruit now up here in the north that can be distributed, so we're no longer relying on this fruit solely. Fruit being more or less useless in the beginning, but then suddenly all of the cities are starting to grow a lot. We can build this circular path that is much better for general growth and not perhaps so good for specific growth of just one city. It isn't so easy to make sure that this or that city is getting everything that it needs when one builds this circular path with the warehouses connecting in between. But certainly it makes for a really nice revenue and a general growth all over. No, that's not ours yet, but we can see that things are coming nicely along. Even some salt there. I've got a salt resource now being distributed pretty much all over. See that now, even with the lady's excellent ability to buy up more industry, I don't buy so much industry unless I'm absolutely required to do it by the mission objectives. Here in San Antonio, it was very tempting to buy up a liquor industry, being immediately next to a fruit resource, and also having enough sugar coming in. 2 sugar resources from the north being transported into San Antonio. And it's extra little bit of a prestige thing to have distilleries running, but it is a bit. That takes a lot of attention to make all of this grow. If it is the computers or private industry that have bought this, it will still be a good thing to be checking on all the cities and see that the cities that we are connected to, that all of these factories are running, at least they have the necessary resources. Here I can see that this isn't actually running because it lacks lumber, but lumber is coming in, so that is going to take care of itself. And to have a check, let's see that all the gears, the clogs are running, the clogs in the machine, and that the factories are running, and that you're not making so much money from actually producing the goods, but we are making money from delivering them, and much more money from having those deliveries resulting in a nice growth, so that there can be much more passengers being the absolutely most profitable way of achieving revenue, the most profitable thing to do. You can see now that the production has been steadily going with a deficit, while mail is making mail and passenger, mail often being more profitable than passengers, mail being more long distance. So as the empire grow, mail becomes more and more important, while passengers are also very important and very good revenues, but the passengers don't go that far. You can see here now with the furthest city, Brownsville, all the way down here, we can see that there is a lot of passengers going to Corpus Christi, but then the passenger numbers drop very fast, while the mail is not dropping so much. So that for bigger empires, mail is much more important than even than the passengers. So now we have reached the final stages. Been able to buy up the entire General Donovan's company. We did that right away. Didn't bother to buy him bit by bit. Had the money to buy him all the way. General growth comes on very nicely with this circular path strategy. So then achieving 6 cities with 18,000, that would already have been done as soon as we had delivered all the goods from our previous set of mission objectives. And we had a balance of 3.7 million almost a week. So then 5,000 per week, that just came on automatically. And then connect the 19 cities to our railwork. We had already done that as well. So now we are going to focus solely on buying up our competitor, all of them, also Helen, which is a much greater competitor than General Donovan, and then to build that last bit of stretch between Vermont and New Orleans. I have filled up with a lot of train stations now, so it might actually be a little bit difficult, but I prepared this now. There is no particular point to make that neat, so actually as soon as I press execute planning here, I will achieve the mission objective immediately. But still, we would have to buy up our competitor, and she is quite the competitor actually. And even as we have been competing with her and trying to outsmart her and make people take our trains instead of her, if our lines are quite a bit shorter than her, no passengers will take her train, no mail would go either. So, but even it is hard to completely outsmart her either, because she was there first after all, and it is also difficult for us to build around them. And the cities are growing, so that the passengers that are using her rails are also becoming more and more. So she has grown quite a bit since last time we looked at her, and that was almost a year ago. So now we have approached almost 3 years into the game. So how to do this? We have 35 millions here. And then we can take a loan of 20 million more. But still, we will see that she is too expensive for us. We are lacking 11 millions. But then now we are so close to in the end. So then actually if I go in here and start reducing the number of trains, I don't want to delete this quite yet. But we can easily see now that if I do this, then very soon I will be able to have enough money to buy her up. Now, it feels a bit awkward to do all these tricks, but now I have reduced a lot of my great big lines into becoming only one train per each. And then we have acquired enough money, I think, at least. And then as soon as I buy her up, then I get quite a lot of this money back. Already a couple of millions here, just from the savings that she had. And then to merge her, liquidate everything, and then she be gone. That was quite a loss. I spent over 60 millions on doing this. Have some money back now so that I can increase the number of trains back here. I don't really remember how many there were, but this is at the end of the game, so it isn't such a bad thing. But as I said, do delete the trains or reduce the number of trains. All the goods go back to their original stations, and then I lose out of a lot. But it doesn't matter so much as I'm just one click pretty much away from achieving all of my mission objectives. So then, let's see how we did this with our competitor still in play. First of all, notice how we built this rail here, this special delivery line, now utilizing all of the stations in Austin. One set here for the East Texas zone and one set for the North Texas zone, all being expanded enormously into 8 rail trains. And then to have this 3 sets of trains going from Austin to Houston, through Campbell, Beaumont, and further on up to Evans to pick up the lumber, through an interesting little cross here with a hotel, and then further on through Jackson and New Orleans, being able to deliver everything that New Orleans is requiring, that perhaps being the most difficult part of this set of mission objectives. I had to rebuild this plank factory that I put up in Beaumont, because the mission objective requires us to deliver the planks to Beaumont and not produce them in Beaumont. And as long as Beaumont is producing planks, it wouldn't require any planks but to be delivered to it. So then I deleted that and computer rebuilt it with a paper mill, and then I rather have a plank factory down here in Houston to be able to complete the mission objectives. Might seem a little bit contradictory, but illogical, but that's how the game is, and we just have to play along in order to achieve the mission objectives. Also, there will be a steel factory, steel mill here, I see, that we can also rely on to some part. At least it has now iron coming in, this extra line now directly to Austin, serving both to deliver express passengers and picking up the iron as well to be delivered in both directions. I bought this up now. It was a bit expensive, but it needed to be bumped up all the way in order to keep up with the demand. This coal hotel turned out to be very profitable. You can see here now, as it is a cross between this Sherpa Memphis line and then also the special delivery, the line from New Orleans to Austin. And then these crosses can often be just as profitable as circles, even though circles is my favorite way of building rails, as they are very orderly and neat and make for an easy setup of the warehouses. Also had a mission objective to build this this line here. This is 8 lines, but only 4 of them go to Austin, and then 4 of them are going through this hotel here in the west and further on up to Memphis. So Memphis now serving as this hub. One can notice here now that I didn't want to build too long a line, and I didn't want to update these trains that have been going for quite some time, so that they are now sharing these lines here from Sherport, are sharing the same station in Memphis as this long line that are circling on the inside of our competitors' zone. The best way to tackle the competitor, I think, instead of trying to build across the existing infrastructure, is to build on both sides. So then we have this one going up here to Nashville, down to Atlanta, and further on connecting to this Mississippi, Alabama circle that I built down here, and connecting Atlanta and Montgomery like this. It looks almost like a circle, but it isn't, because it's much more difficult to build a proper circle with the competitor in the way, but it's no real problem building just alongside it. And then to the north of our competitor, one line from Knoxville to Nashville, and then further on to Fayetteville. One thing to point out here is that there is lumber in Fayetteville that serves all of these northern parts, but also lumber in Knoxville. But that lumber all goes south to Atlanta, and then on the inner path goes back to Nashville and Memphis. And this had to be done in that manner, because if I were to now delete the post office in Knoxville West and put up lumber here, that would go back and forth. Now this lumber in Fayetteville will be trying to serve Atlanta, as the lumber from Knoxville will be trying to serving, say, Nashville and Memphis, and that would make for a bad crisscrossing tendency. Further down south, we made for a really excellent circle here, the Mississippi-Alabama circle, that also contains a cross inside of it, one of my favorite structures if I can afford it. And then it has 2 hotels in the middle, not quite as profitable as the coal hotel, but still a very nice and profitable structure. And as train capacity is being more and more challenged from all of these cities growing pretty much simultaneously, and we can see all of these double green arrows all over, then it's pretty much just a question of filling it up to the max and trying to keep up with supply and demand, so that this goes back and forth here from the middle, bringing a lot of passengers. One track here from New Orleans to Thomas and Foster to Pensacola, and then from Montgomery to Jackson. And then people wanting to go from Montgomery to Pensacola, they can now take switch lines here at Foster, and from Jacksonville, New Orleans, there is the option to go to Thomas and switch trains here. Of course, this track is better and faster, but there just isn't enough capacity going to be filled up very soon, so we need additional trains. Having a quick look at the flow of goods, we see that we have all this nice cloth here in the north west, and see how this is being delivered now. This might seem to be confusing, interflicting, but looking further at it, it is going straight down south. We might have to take a little extra look at it, but everything is moving. All the cloth is moving east, westward, southwest. While the sugar being only two of these resources, no sugar here in the west, but all of this sugar is now being neatly distributed to the west by this warehouse here in Jackson. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to set this all up, but it's well worth it, as it encourages general growth all over the map, making for a maximum revenue. You can see with a few of the other resources as well, how corn, there is enough corn on both sides of the map, so it's just a question of having it distributed here from Atlanta onto this competitor's region, and here down from the Pensacola to the Mississippi, Alabama economic zone. Lumber was already touching upon it, but you can see now that Mississippi, Alabama has its own, this little tentacle going down to Florida, to Tallahassee. It actually has from both sides, Tallahassee being connected by two set of rails, separate. Wheat was also neatly placed on both sides. Didn't buy up too much, but we had an extra nice offer to buy this. I didn't use so much of the lady's ability to bump up the resources because there was so much else to do. So then we have actually only bought these very few resources there, and most of them were required by the mission objectives. Rather prefer to focus on laying rails being particularly profitable in railway empire. Notice that now we had the option to buy the excellent Glen Express train that we might do. Now we have a lot of extra passengers and such, but that would challenge all of these nice express statuses that we have already been able to achieve. So that one might want to put that on off for some time, but still one might go in here and then change these tracks, these lines, into becoming more dedicated, have freight and passenger trains and have them separated. Now with the technology that we now have, we could change this into becoming a dedicated express line, putting up some special wagons, and then a couple of these, and then some perhaps dedicated freight wagons using the excellent Shay class, and then putting that up on freight, and rather having our lines, our system separated in this way instead of having everything mixed. But I played through this entire scenario with only mixed trains, making it a little bit easier and faster to play. Fun in many ways, but I could perhaps have made more money from having separated this earlier. But then we didn't have any good express trains before. They had this class 121, but that is the Brox Mogul is almost as good almost as fast and has almost double the tractive power, so I rather relied on having mixed trains doing automatic services. We can have a quick last look at the salt resource. It was a little bit difficult since all the salt was here in the west. So we can see now how this salt is serving most of the western map, some of it coming in here, trying to take advantage of all. Some is being switched in Jackson to go down south, but then also had one salt resource here that is going around like this. And then for a moment there I thought I had done something wrong here in Houston. I've forgotten about selecting salt here. But if I did this, now salt will be going in all directions. Both salt resources serving everything. Now this wouldn't be so much of a problem as salt, the production is so low and demand is so high, so they would probably never reach Houston and fill it up and then start filling up on both sides. But nevertheless, this is one of those typical situations where there are interflection. So if one turns this off, then one can see that with a bit of work, I was able to have salt being delivered to the different cities from different resources without making a mess. So then, I think that pretty much sums it all up. You can go in here and then see how this works if I now were to press execute. So, see how we did. Not too bad of a score. Still have not yet completed the optional task because I sort of postponed buying up our competitor, the last optional task. But we saw how that can be done easily as well. So then I would thank you for watching, and you can feel free to like and subscribe, leave some comments, and then I hope to see you again next time. Goodbye.